Let's do a bit of Star Trek Strange Worlds. Let's wrap up this turgid piece of shit season, because that is the only way of describing it, right? It is a turgid, and what a massive disappointment it was. I mean, really, it was. It failed in pretty much every way. What made season one great was the leaning into traditional Star Trek, right? Lonnie says $17. I know, like, really? It's crazy. I mean, that really is insanely crazy. Yeah, where is this? 1 second, share screen. Doink. There you go. So, yeah, what made the first season I found just exciting and interesting was the leading into traditional Star Trek of episodic stories with beginning, middle, and end, told in a modern way with great special effects, with a wonderful modern design sensibility. I like the new takes on the characters we knew. I like the new version of Nurse Chapel, right? I like the new version of Pike. I like the new version of Number One. I was even okay with Spock, right? Well, they said, fuck all that for season 2. Let's throw it out the window. Spock turns into Sheldon from Big Bang Theory because the people there just don't know how to write him. Spock has to be cool, right? And I'm sorry, I know he's younger Spock, but he's supposed to be cool. That's what made Spock cool. And Leonard Nimoy had a lot of just coolness in him. That role was so great for him, right? Nurse Chapel and one of my favorite new characters, Dr. M'Benga, destroyed, right? Now they're both action heroes. No, you know, what was great in that first season, right? When their ship was taken over a bit too easily, but the ship was taken over. Chapel was going around with a hyper syringe to knock people out rather than like clubbing them to death and throwing them out of an airlock. Right, that was great. It was feminine, right? It was feminine, and it was proactive, and it was strong, right? Now, oh no, let's just write her like a bloke, because there's no. One thing I didn't like is how they give male sexual attitudes to women. Of course, the other great character was the engineer, who was fan-freaking-tastic, replaced by the utterly awful Carol Kane in this episode, in this season. I mean, it just horribly miscast. What were they thinking? They're thinking we don't give a fuck, right? I like, that's all I can say, right? Just utterly miscast. And then in the last episode, Under the Cloak of War, or the one before the musical piece of shit, they destroy M'Benga's character by making him murder a Klingon peace delegate. And I mean, like, he was a great character. Great actor playing a great character. It's tragic, right? I'm sorry. It's like, if you love Star Trek, it's absolutely freaking tragic what they did this season. And then you had like the high concept episodes. You had lots of Kirk, who was not very good. I can't stand. Oh, also Uhura I liked, right? I thought that she had a great arc in that season 1, right? Where I think in the final episode, or towards the final episode, you had her decide to become the communications officer. And they wrote it really well, right? You just had a, after the engineer was killed, right? And he said, look, your point is to find out, you know, what your purpose is. And her purpose was to connect people with communication. And you see her walk onto the bridge, very, you know, obviously getting over the death of M'Benga, right? Not M'Benga, whatever his name was, right? And she looks over at the communications station, and she just she just has a look at her, and she, again, Jess Bush and whoever plays Uhura, excellent actresses, right? They took these flat, two-dimensional roles and imbued them with life, right? You got the Lan Noonien thing, who was shit as well, and just stage shit this year as well. Oh, is Rumble worth it, says Yurik? Yeah, it's free. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, mate. It's got, in terms of good content, the content's excellent. Yeah, you've got freedom of speech there. Anyway, so now we're at the final episode, the first episode of the season. It sets up this finale. Look, first season episode, at the end, they mention the Gorn, and so, like, it's too late to be bringing them in. You needed to bring them in again at some point in the season to make them into the big bad. But you're too busy doing Lower Decks and those old scientists. Shit that it was, right? Fine, so we're in the last episode. Whoosh! Okay, member berry, yay! Get super high. And it doesn't work anymore. Doesn't work. I mean, not that I would know. But it doesn't work anymore. Fine. So again, looks beautiful. So not worth it, right? So the Enterprise is checking out this planet, which is built on like idyllic and built on like a old 1960s type environment. I'm like, yeah, I'll live there. That sounds really cool. Like low tech, already cool. And this is some reason Nurse Chapel is there with what's his name? Pike's girlfriend, right? And they're looking around and they're like, okay, beam me up. And she beams up and she's in the middle of having a conversation with Pike and, yes, everything's fine. There's only signal lost. Dun, dun, dun. And they're like, what's going on? Said, we're going to rip off Independence Day. Really? First you see a shuttle crashing. Nice little touch. But then the Gorn show up, much like in Independence Day. And it was like, run away, run away. And Pike's like, my girlfriend is being eaten by the Gorn. Okay, I better go and check this out. Captain Admiral Robert April, again, was great last year. I don't care about the race swap. I thought this is a different universe. I'm fine with it. Right? He's like saying, the Gorn's there. You got to tread carefully, whatever. So they go and investigate, and what's his name's ship has been destroyed. And they're like, things are looking bad. So then, member berry title, member berry, member berry. And again, it so doesn't deserve these beautiful special effects. Does not deserve them in any way, shape, or form. It's like, oh shit, this looks bad. Yes, it does look bad, Pike. Yes, it does look. And he's a bit like Pussius this whole episode. So they're like, the planet's got this like field around it, so they can't beam anybody out. And they can't communicate with everybody. And then, then they receive an image from the Gorn saying, no, this is a demarcation line. This is our side of the line now. This planet belongs to us. We're going to eat everybody on the planet. Thank you very much. And he's like, we better stay here then, right? Kirk's brother comes in for no apparent bloody reason. And they got the new anti-Gorn weapons, right? Benga is kind of wasted. Oh, God, I hate this character so much, right? Listen. You don't need to give relentless positive reinforcement to somebody who has earned their place, right? She has not, right? They want to make her like a very masculine flyboy pilot. Doesn't work. Worked in Battlestar Galactica, right, with Starbuck because they made her into a woman. This is a actor played by a woman, and it's shit. So they have this. They're going to try and go in with the debris to hide out. And Spock's like, that's my place on the couch. Yeah, Big Bang Theory Spock. And so they hide themselves. Oh, God, I hate this character too. They hide themselves in debris, and she's like, and she flies and says, I love being a flyboy masculine pilot. I'm a male character. I was born for this. Yay. I think they actually say that. God. She is so intensely unconvincing, right? I mean, the only time I've seen somebody be less convincing was Jodie Whittaker saying how much she loves science without understanding it. So they fly in under the radar, and Spock and number one talk about some shit I can't remember. So that's where that beam's coming from that's stopping them being able to beam anybody out. And they go looking around. So it doesn't look good, right? Doesn't look good. And they see some Gorn babies. And again, I understand, completely different universe. I'm fine with it. The shit agenda, not so much. Where we're up to, fine. So they're looking around, they're seeing the Gorn everywhere, they're hiding in the shop. Now she's got some backstory with the Gorn. I couldn't care less. Meanwhile, Uhura and Carol Kane are trying to work out how to get the field to be cut off, and they hide out in there. Where clearly people have been slaughtered many times over, and then they keep looking around, and eventually they get to a place. They get lured to a place where there's a fake like Gorn reading or something, right? And it was set up by this bloke. Scottish accent. I'm like, is that Scotty? Now, this guy Scotty is way better than Simon Pegg's, right? I'm fine with the Scotty, right? The Scotty really feels very authentically Scotty. So good for them there. So he's acting like a young Scot, like he's in character. Maybe I'm just happy to see a guy acting like a guy. I don't know. He's like, oh, don't keep me to season 3. I'm gonna have to suck some dick. Yeah, you are, mate. Yeah, you are. It's the way of the world. So Oprah's hiding out, and then she meets up with the captain, and they're like, oh, we survived. And they have to hide here overnight. And apparently, he was also attacked by the Gorn, and he escaped his starship on a shuttle, which was able to rig up a cloaking device that the Gorn couldn't see through. Anything with this character is not worth watching, right? So incoming warp signatures detected, and then more people coming in. So they're trying to work out a way of taking out that beam thing, and they work out if they launch the saucer section, which again, this is actually quite good. They launch the saucer section at the pylon thing. That will take out the beam, right? So Pike's going to go and investigate taking out the beam, and Scott is going to go with him along with the other captain. Spock is so now we go to the bit of the saucer section, and we see Nurse Chapel still alive. She beamed up at the beginning. She just broke up with Spock because it was a stupid idea to start with, and she wanted to do her career, right? And she didn't want to be tied down to anybody because I don't know. It's written by people who don't like women, basically, right? Bring back Zachary Quinto. Exactly. Zachary Quinto was perfect, right? Absolutely perfect. I agree with you. So she sees the Enterprise out there, and she tries to signal them. This actually wasn't bad, right? If I didn't hate Ethan Peck Spock at this point, I'll be much more into this. So he's setting up these little jets on the saucer section. And Jess Bush is trying to seize him, tries to get his attention, but can't. So she puts on the EV suit, and out she goes. Meanwhile, this is where they had the cloaking device thing that they're trying to bring. It's fused into the shuttle, but we can cut it out. And they hear some Gorn, and a Gorn comes in. Meanwhile, now we get aliens in space again. We get aliens in Star Trek as we have a big Gorn person there. It's so derivative. Such a shame, right? Such an absolute shame. What's he doing on there? Who knows? Who cares? So she sees the Jeffrey Porchin go out, whatever. There's a Gorn out there, and they don't know what to do. Meanwhile, over here, there's there's a Gorn, giant grown Gorn there. And is going to face off against Spock. But fortunately, Nurse Chapel is there to help him out, right? Because he loses his gun and it floats off as he crushes his helmet. Doesn't look good for Spock, but he's going to... Chapel gets the phaser and boo, boo, boo. And at the same time, distracts him with the phaser. So Spock breaks his helmet. And he dies and floats off into space. Again, if this season wasn't so incredibly shit, this would have been a worthwhile episode. But this season was incredibly shit. So she says, "Oh, the reason I could," the Gorn came to attack them at one point, and she stopped them because she's infected with Gorn eggs. So he's like, "Oh, it doesn't look good for you, mate." So they launch the ship, and Spock and Chapel launch themselves off the. Again, this. Special effects great, the writing great. It's just the absolute entire season sunk in this episode, right? Because I don't care about them anymore, and I never really liked this couple, right? I mean, Spock and Uhura like having a fling. I could have seen much more. So he's like, well, we'll find a way to save you somehow, and then they see the saucer section blow up the thing, and the giant shield thing comes down, And they beam everybody up, and they and they say, oh, "I am happy you're alive." But then they got to rush off to all their places, and they start beaming everybody aboard. And hi, we're happy to see you. So they tell her to get her into stasis ASAP. Scotty has a Gorn cloaking device, essentially. Carol Kane knows and says, "You're my best student and my biggest disappointment." Carol Kane's just shit, right? She's just shit and terribly cast, right? So they're back on the ship, and they basically decide they have to run, don't they? And what's that say? Transporter surface scan. Oh, yeah. So they start beaming her off, and suddenly everybody's gone. Everybody's vanished from the planet, right? And they've all been beamed to the Gorn ship, right? And so she's being put in stasis. And so now you have Pike have to decide, is he going to disobey Starfleet regs and take on the Gorn or not? What's your orders, Captain? And he's like, I don't know. Bum. To be continued. I mean, I might review it next season. I hope the apocalypse comes, rather. I mean, honestly, it's such a crushing disappointment, right? It's such an intensely crushing disappointment this season. It was great. It was fan-freaking-tastic. And they're like, oh, yes, we're going to do more of the same. We're going to lean into it. No, you didn't. You did everything wrong. Like, literally everything wrong. It's unbelievable how much wrong that you did, right? Crazy that maybe. I mean, like, I can't think of one creative decision where I go, yeah, that's great. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.